You've heard a little bit about how the vision started. You've also heard how it's grown and people have been invited in. But today, we want you to understand where we're going. We want you to see that God has a future for our church. We want you to see, like the fog over this port, that God is making a way into something new. Here at Light and Life, this vision that God has brought to reach, teach, mend, and send is expanding. And we believe, just like in the Port of Los Angeles, how this little port here tucked away feeds the entire world, we believe that this river, this vision that God has given in the past that has grown into what it is today, is going to be a river that feeds into an ocean that is going to feed into the world. We're excited to talk about what God is doing in the future. We're excited to show you that there is a way forward. As we build for the future, we want to show you the great expanse that God is leading us to as the river flows into new places. Jesus went through all the towns and villages, teaching in their synagogues, proclaiming the good news of the kingdom, and healing every disease and sickness. When he saw the crowds, he had compassion on them because they were harassed and helpless like sheep without a shepherd. Then he said to his disciples, "The harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few. Ask the Lord of the harvest, therefore, to send out workers into his harvest field." Shells form as a place of shelter. They hold life, but they can also become a place where things that are alive begin to die. Where there was once safety and forming and a model begins to create, it becomes a safe place where new things aren't invited in. I want you to understand that we have been commissioned by Jesus. We've been commissioned to go and make disciples, to teach them his commandments, to baptize them, and to remember that he is with us. See, the shell is not our safety, he is our safety. And today, as we think into the future and we believe God for more, there needs to be almost a breaking of what's been comfortable, of what's held us safe, that we might allow that to be broken so that it could spread and be shared with others. You know, as I think about shells being broken and we stand on this beach, as the sand forms, small little pieces are spread all over the world. Some of this sand that we're standing on now has been in many different countries. And as the shell breaks, as we think not just about the model of what's been, but we think about the spreading into the future, we must not be comfortable with what was, but trust God with what will be. A new thing that God is doing as he sends out and he brings in. At Light and Life, we say it like this: reach the lost and send the saved. As we think about building for the future, as we think about this spreading and sharing, what we need to first think about is reach. If we're gonna reach, we need to reach the lost. You know, more and more churches are shuffling people that have already been saved. At Light and Life, yes, we want people in a healthy church. We want people growing into depth, but we also recognize that there are so many people that are lost. I want you to pause and think about all the places that you go. If you're in Long Beach or San Pedro or Lakewood or Compton or Paramount, these cities, there are thousands, hundreds of thousands of souls represented, and many of those people know not what it looks like to be in a healthy church community where they're growing and learning about Jesus. See, we want to reach everyone. We want to reach everyone everywhere. We want to teach people to live on mission in their reaching, not just to go to church, but to be the church wherever God sends them. I've seen God move in places like Winco, or at the beach, or at a gas station, or at a coffee shop. When we say reach, we really say, what would it look like if there was a missionary on every single block? I mean, could you imagine for a second 50,000, 100,000 people that really believed that God was calling them to reach their little slice that He has placed them in? 3 neighbors, 5 neighbors, every street that's represented in our city and beyond, to realize that there are so many people that do not yet know the gospel, that have not yet been reached by Jesus. He is the one that is calling us to reach others the way He's reached us. Being born and raised in Long Beach, I love to teach my kids the history of our city. As you look behind me, there is so much rich history. Just around the corner, there's a battleship that you can go to, and you can learn from past generations that were once stationed here. I want to remind you that as we move into the future and we think about teaching, that there are many gospels out there. The idea is my truth is the truth, but we know that there is one truth. There's a gospel, a good news about Jesus, and we are committed in the future to teach people to be gospel-centered. We know that this good news about Jesus is what sets people free. Why reach people unless we're going to teach them the truth? See, when we teach people the truth, the Bible says that truth sets them free. So we're committed to teach all of the Word. We're committed to teach out of every chapter. We're committed to teach the full gospel, and we're committed to teach it in a way that everyone can understand, so that they in turn could be a teacher to someone else. See, you're taught, and then you share that history with others. You're taught to bring other people to a place that they might understand and know that freedom, that they might learn to love Jesus here and now. See, the teaching work that we do is all about helping people understand what God is doing and reminding people that He wants them to see a little bit of heaven on this side of earth. We want to be people that teach the good news, the truth of the gospel. You know what's so healing for me is coming down and listening to the ocean, listening to the waves crash on the beach. Growing up in Long Beach, in the midst of noise and chaos, it's just a place where you can calm your heart, your mind, and hear from God. What would it look like for us to see more mending in the future? Think about how God has changed your life, mended and healed your life. Think about the things that God has spoken into your renewed heart. Now think about all the brokenness that exists in our city, in our county, in our state. Think about fatherlessness and addiction and homelessness and the pain of sickness. Think about the fact that God has been using Light and Life as a church to mend broken lives. We've seen amazing miracles that God has done. People that have been physically attacked and left for dead. People that have experienced incredible pain and sorrow in life, coming to a realization that only Jesus can heal and change their life. We've even seen physical miracles from God. But we're believing for more mending. We're believing that as God builds us into the future, we're going to see hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of lives healed and mended by the goodness of a great physician. Jesus is healer, and we want to be his hands and feet that bring healing to the nations. What would it look like in the future of Light and Life to see lives mended and healed by a God that can change anything? As waves of healing crash over our city, I want you to pause and just think for a second. As the waves crash behind me, think, what would waves of healing look like as we move into a future where God mends broken lives? As the shell of our comfort is broken, God is sending us into something new. God is sending us into a new horizon. The river is flowing into an ocean that will lead to many places. This sending is going to demand new generosity, new faith. It's going to deepen our prayer life. We're going to have to lean into desiring more of the Word and more of God's truth. It's hard to move out of what was. It's hard to move out of the comfort of what is. But as we build into the future, we know that God is sending us into miraculous things that we've not seen before. What lies beyond the horizon, we don't fully know. But we know it's more of God's goodness. It's a place at the end of the river where everything lives. So as you've watched this documentary, as you've walked with us from the past to the present, and now we believe God for the future, we're asking you to step into that horizon with faith, with renewed generosity, with belief that God is going to do more than we could hope or imagine. And we need you to be a part of that. As we build into the future, we recognize that you are a part of that future. We don't know every step, but we know this, that if we live by faith, if we live more generous, if we trust God for greater things, that at the end of that river, at the end of that horizon is that place where everything will live. Will you walk with us into the future? Will you go with us into these unknown places, these new horizons? Why? So that we could see more of God's goodness and we could see it through each and every one of you. This people-loving place, it needs you. It needs each of you to build into this future. As we move into this space, we recognize that we are better together. We invite you into this new horizon. We invite you in to walk on this journey with us. We invite you in to a future where there is more of God's goodness and where everything will live. As you watch this story, become a part of the story.
What we're asking is that you would be a part of building for the future. We believe that if everybody who sees this documentary, a vision of what was, is, and will be, participates, we will see an incredible move of God. We say it like this: the river will flow from Long Beach to the ends of the earth. So as you see this QR code come up, would you scan it? Would you be generous? Would you think about how God is calling you to play a part in building for the future so that we could see an incredible move of God? Because listen, where the river is, everything will live.